Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the Dream Huge podcast hosted by Justin Bigelow, Biggie, the three-time samurai champ, Mark Gray. What is going on, Mark?
Not much, Pete. How's it going with you?
That's good, man. Excited. You know what I love about this business? I get excited to jump out of bed every morning, different opportunities, different things going on, man. Sometimes I just love all the action we got going on, especially today. We got Perry Keenan, the flipping mayor, baby. How you doing,
Woo!
Perry?
Dude, I am blessed. Absolutely fantastic today, dude.
Good. Hey, man, thanks for joining us today. Perry was a fan of the show, reached out to me
Yeah.
via Instagram, I think.
Yeah.
So thank you for listening. Thank you for following all the way from Pleasant View, two words, Pleasant View, Tennessee, 20 short minutes outside of Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
So we've got the official Flippin' Mayor with us here today, man. Super excited. You guys got to check out. I've been following you now. See, and that's how that works. If we you
I
you
know.
you've been posting some great content as well on Instagram. I'm really enjoying your videos. And I think those will add value to a lot of folks out there in the real
Dude,
estate game.
that's
So
high praise coming from you guys. Thank you so
no,
much.
man, appreciate it. No, keep it up. Love it. So Perry is going to talk. We're going to talk some real estate today. We're going to talk some mindset. We're going to talk about being the mayor of Pleasant View for 8 years and
Hmm.
what that entailed. And we're just going to see where it goes from there. So Perry, tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about yourself and let's start on the real estate side of it. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you call yourself the flipping mayor.
Ooh. Fast forward to house flipping. We'll jump in there with the name first. It's about 2018. I was 6 years into my 8 years as mayor for our hometown, and was rehabbing a house that we were going to flip over in Clarksville, Tennessee. Clarksville's close for people that are thinking geographically, is close to the 101st Air Force Base, Fort Campbell, Kentucky, Fort Campbell. And so, anyway, was flipping a house over there, and I had this guy that was doing some siding, and I tried to never let like the whole like mayor thing go to my head and get bigger than it is. Always tried to stay humble with it, and so I typically didn't tell a lot of people in that real estate realm what I did. Now, sometimes they would snoop on you on Facebook and that kind of thing. And they'd be like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that you were the mayor and that kind of thing. Well, this one guy was doing siding for us on this house job. And I'd just come out of a meeting and I needed to rush up there and meet him. And I didn't have time to change out of my mayor garb. And so I was wearing a golf shirt and it said, Pleasant View, Tennessee, Mayor Perry Keenan on it. And I hop out of the car and he's out in the front yard and he kind of stops and he looks, he's like, what you wearing? And I said, oh gosh, here we go. I said, man, I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to. He's like, no, man, no. He's like, you're the mayor? And I said, yeah, yes, sir. I'm the mayor. And he said, huh, you're the house flipping mayor. And I said, no, I said, I don't know about that. And he said, no, he said, you the flipping mayor. And I said, well, let me tell you, I'm pretty sure that I've been called that more than one time. I just don't know it yet.
Yep.
So it just kind of became the running joke of somebody behind the scenes calling me the flipping mayor if I didn't vote the way they wanted or I did something they didn't agree to. And I don't know, man, it's just very tongue in cheek. Don't ever take myself too serious.
Yeah, no, you can't, man. We got to have fun no matter what. And we like
Yeah.
doing the same. So, how did you get into flipping?
So a friend of mine, he and I went to a Ron LeGrand seminar, and I don't know if you guys remember Ron LeGrand, but he's kind of like the godfather of house flipping and real estate investing. Like back in the 80s and 90s, you would see like the late night infomercials where you could buy the VHS, cassette tape programs and that kind of thing. And so, anyway, he was coming to Nashville to do a 2 day seminar to kind of pitch people on, getting them hooked. And then he would sell you the $10,000 boot camp at the end of the seminar. We went to this 2 day seminar. It's like $200 and said, you know what? I think I can do this. Like, I really think that we can totally do this. And so we did. We started flipping a couple of houses and we made about $7,000 on our first house, which was awesome. And then we lost money on the next one, which wasn't awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's one of those where I'm glad it kind of went that way because some people they have that failure right up front, and then they're like, oh, well, this just isn't for me. I can't do this. But then you get other people that, they hit nothing but home runs, and then the first failure they get, like they don't know how to recover from that. And so I was glad that we kind of went 1 for 2 right off the bat, to kind of instill that mindset a little bit. And then he and I ended up going different paths on the type of houses that we wanted to flip, and still amicable friends, and still hang out and go to dinner occasionally and that kind of stuff. But just kind of grew it into house flipping in general. And then in 2007, the market was starting to turn, and I literally, man, I literally couldn't do wrong. Like everything I was hitting, it was like a Midas touch, man. It totally just blessed God thing. And then 2008, the market crashed, and I couldn't have gotten Donald Trump or Bill Gates approved to buy a house. I mean, it was crazy. We were left holding 5 mortgages at
Wow.
the time. And so it was like, okay, what are we going to do? My dad has been a tremendous influence on me, and just kind of raised us to be very lead follow or get the hell out of the way. And so I said, okay, well, I've got 5 of these mortgages. We're going to fire sell what we can fire sell, and then we'll see what we can do from there. And so we thought that we were going to potentially have to file bankruptcy. We were literally considering that, and said no. Said we're gonna scrap through and do what we can do. So what we couldn't sell, we put renters in those houses. They weren't making the full mortgage payment, but I didn't care because I wasn't having to come out of pocket every month with an extra $3,000 to make up, or $3,300 every month to come up with. We were only having to come out of pocket about an extra $1,000. And then just completely just got burnt on that. Got out of real estate at that point in time, and took about a 6-year hiatus. And then around 2013, 2014, started flipping a couple of houses again. But it felt like we were just treading water. My wife and I just couldn't get ahead. We would flip a house, we'd make $10,000, $15,000, and then we would be like right back in the hole, and we'd flip another one and make 10, 15 grand, and just get right back in the hole again, and couldn't get ahead. And so again, talked to mom and dad, and they said, our mutual friend, family friend, his name is Johnny, said you ought to go have lunch with Johnny and just kind of lay it all out there, because Johnny does some real estate investing. And so met with Johnny and just kind of laid it all out. He said, you're just doing this all wrong. He said, you need to go in, and I'm going to show you how to do what I call the power of 10. In short, get the 10 doors as quickly as possible, so that if something goes wrong with 20 or 30% of your doors, the money you're making on the other 7 will cover the nut for the entire thing, so that you're not freaking out.
So
And
when
I
you say
told,
get to 10 doors, I want to pause real quick there.
sure.
10 flips or 10 rental properties generating income?
No, he said, I'm not telling you to give up on flipping. He said, but basically all you've done is just created a really good job for yourself. Now, granted, you're your own boss. You come and go as you please. You're making all your kids' ball practices. You're never missing dance recitals, but you're not going to get ahead at this point. So he said, you need to change your mindset and go to buy and hold, and not just flips. And I protested, man. I did not want to do that, because of the 2 that we still had left over from, the crash of '08, that we, were still sucking us dry, and I just couldn't get ahead. And so anyway, I said, all right, I'm going to try it your way, and we're going to do it. And literally, guys, I swear on my life, as soon as we hit that number 10, it was like a light switch flipped, and all of a sudden everything was just like, oh, I can breathe, like
Yeah.
like I can
Amazing.
do this. Yeah.
So when you say 10, so you built up to 10, you bought, what did your mix of 10 units look like, and how did you get
So
those?
so we had the 2. So what I did is we borrowed some money from a family member. We kicked out the one of the 2 that we were still holding from 2008. Kicked that person out, rehabbed it, and then just sold it. And we literally just broke even on it. And it's the best break even I've ever had in my life. I was glad to just get that monkey off of my back, not just financially,
Right.
but because that had been mentally draining for 6 or 7 years. It had been awful. The other one, quite naturally, that person had needed to move out on their own, which was great. So we moved another family in that said, "Hey, would you consider selling us this house on owner financing?" Yeah, I would love to. Give us $15,000 down, signed all the paperwork. They handle all of the maintenance, any repairs, everything, 100%. They're covering all of that nut. I've only been in that house 2 times since 2008. Their
Mhm.
payments are set up on auto draft and they never miss a beat. It's amazing. It's
Perfect.
amazing. Yeah. So yeah, again, total blessing thing there. And so, yeah. So in short, after that, going back to the 10 doors, the first thing that we did is we found in Clarksville these two little houses that we bought, two little single family homes. Somebody was doing a sale on those. We bought them for $20,000 a piece. They were not in an awesome part of town, and they needed a little bit of work. But we were able to turn those around pretty quickly. And then we bought a triplex right after that. Didn't need much work on that either, and was able to get that one rented up pretty quick. And then a wholesaler that had seen what we were doing in Clarksville reached out, and she said, "Hey," she said, "I've got these people. They've got 10 doors over here. It's two triplexes and a quad. And is that something that you would be interested in?" So I reached out to the bank and they said, "Yeah, man, you've been doing great. And so we'll take a chance on you and on it." And so we did. We bought that, moved some people out, made some repairs from deferred maintenance, went back and bird that one, went up on rents, refinanced it, pulled all of our cash out and then some. Man, that thing's been rocking like clockwork ever since. It's been awesome.
Beautiful.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so summary from all that, listeners, right? Okay, hopefully you got your pencils out and you're taking notes. Be prepared to fail. When you start flipping houses, be willing and prepared and financially prepared. You're going to do a flip where you lose money. It's
Yep.
going to happen.
Going to.
So be prepared for that. And hopefully it doesn't happen too much, but if you weather the storm, and especially tip number 2 from the Flippin' Mayor, weather the storm by setting up passive income. Build your passive income through multifamily or single family rental properties. Right here, 10x. That's
Yeah.
what Grant
Yeah.
preaches. He says you keep very little cash, keep just enough cash to operate, and take the rest of your cash and put it into cash flowing assets.
Yeah.
Buy buildings, buy cash flowing assets, and hold as little cash as possible, just enough to get you by when the next flip loses money. Just keep enough
Hmm.
around for that. So,
Yeah.
all right. So that brings us to um, where you are now. You're currently doing flips as well, still doing flips. Curious, where are you finding the majority of your flips? Listed,
Um,
off market? What's your methodology in finding those?
Ironically enough, we just closed on one 2 weeks ago, and it was an MLS deal.
Yeah.
And people talk about, oh, there's not good deals on the MLS, or you can't find a good deal on the MLS these days. Um, we bought a house that was listed for $130,000. We came in and offered 110 cash. That we had secured the financing from my partner on that one, and just literally worked it out between the two real estate agents, and they said, "Okay, we'll do 110." And then after we did the home inspection on that, we found a couple of other things that kind of raised an eyebrow, and went back to them and said, "Hey, we're not trying to beat you up on price, but we found out that we're going to have to do a little more rehab on this one than what we anticipated, and so we're going to need to take another 10 off the price." And they said, "Hey, we're good with that. We
Hmm.
understand." And again, that was an MLS deal. So $30,000 off the MLS of where they started. But people say all the time, "Oh, there's no good deals on the MLS anymore."
You know what's great about listed properties is they want to sell. They have an
Yeah,
urgency to sell. So that's what
yeah.
I like buying listed properties. Um,
Was it the price on that? Like, was it just generally overpriced, and that's how you were able to secure that, or like, what do
You
you
know,
think made that possible?
and how long
uh,
was it on the market?
that one had been on the market for, I think, about 30 or 45 days.
Okay.
And I'm going to call you Biggie because that's what everybody else calls you. So Biggie, on that one, it's not necessarily that it was priced out of line,
Yeah.
but it was priced for someone that would be what I would call an end user, somebody that they had anticipated a family of
Yeah.
a husband and wife and one or two kids were going to come in there, and they were going to try and make it a dream home and that kind of thing. And
Yeah. Yeah.
unfortunately, this was just not dream home material.
Yeah.
And we gave them a copy of the home inspection, just to kind of back up our reasoning of why we needed an additional $10,000 off. And hey, at the end of the day, it solved a problem for them because it was a property that they needed to just get out of. And it solved a problem for us because we wanted to add it to our portfolio, but we needed to do it at a price that made sense for
Right.
us.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So on that one, we've got a couple because we bought it right on the front end. We've got a couple of potential exit strategies on that one. We think that we're just going to keep that one as a buy and hold for now, partly because the city of Clarksville has actually purchased the property right behind it to put in like a nature trails and a preserve and something
Nice.
else and something else, with some greenway status there on the street that we're on, and we're at the very end of the street. So the likelihood that they'll put a trailhead at the end of that street is pretty significant. Being close also to Austin Peay State University, ideally, you're probably going to end up with a young professor or something to that effect that's got the money to be able to spend on it, that they want to be close enough to the university, but just far enough away that they don't have to put up with fraternity parties and, sororities and that kind of thing. So,
Oh, that's the fun stuff, man. I miss those days.
Of course.
I should have stayed in longer. Van Wilder, baby. I did
nice,
did it too quick.
nice, nice. Awesome.
So how does that? So, all right, so that's real estate in a nutshell. Unless you want to touch on anything on that, tell us a little bit about your mindset.
So on that, part of mindset is, man, the whole power of fear between here, man, it will debilitate you and keep you from going out and just really reaching, as you guys say, your dream huge, work hard, never give up, dream huge. I mean, that's what it is. But so many people get limited here before they ever even try and take that first step. And listen, sometimes life sucks. Hey, I've been there. We were, my wife and I were facing bankruptcy and thought, it couldn't get any worse. We had, two new kids, and we're sitting here looking at the lifestyle that we wanted to live, and it was awful. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to you. You've got to take that initiative. You've got to take that action. And I feel very blessed that, I don't hide from my spirituality, and I feel like that there's a lot that goes along with that. But even for people that do not have a strong spiritual background, it still comes down to you in between here and here. Limiting beliefs are just that. That's why they're called limiting beliefs. They limit you from being able to truly achieve what is out there for you. My mom says I'm special, but I'm really not. Like, I literally, all I did was follow the system that someone had laid out in front of me.
Yep.
I didn't try and reinvent the wheel. I didn't try and do something. He said, do this. And that's exactly what I did. And so now my wife and I are sitting on she and ourselves, we're sitting on about 35 doors between the two of us. And then we've got a partner that he and his wife, we've got another 9 or 10 doors with them. It's not all bad. It's really not.
Awesome.
Ironically enough, no, go ahead. I interrupted you. You were getting ready to ask something.
No. I just said that's awesome.
Yeah. So ironically enough, the gentleman that I really kind of call my real estate mentor, he didn't get started in real estate until he was in his 60s. And now it's got over 150 doors, is making ridiculous amounts of money on that, and just positive cash flow every single month. And he and I had lunch the other day, and he's talking about how he's going to set it up to leave to his heirs when that time's coming, because he's in his late 70s now, and he knows that none of us live forever. And so I want to be able to do that. Like, I'm 51, I'll be 52 this year. I want to be able to just, again, continue to follow that mindset and follow that path that he's laid out. As much as I would love to say that, I can go all 10X and Grant Cardone style, and have a couple of thousand doors and that kind of thing. I would love to shoot for 1,000 doors and only end up with 150, because that still wouldn't be all bad.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's absolutely right. All right, I want to head back to the thing you said about fear, right? So we
Yes.
all have fear. We all have fear, but what was it for you, or that some of your successful friends that you're close to? We all have fear. What made you overcome that? How did you overcome that, or do you just operate living with it?
That's a really good question, actually. I'm scared of my wife more than anything, and so everything else, if I can deal with that, then I can literally face anything, brother.
There you go.
So yeah, right. No, I honestly, I really feel like it's a mindset, and I don't ever try to oversimplify it. Uh-oh, looks like I may have just lost part of my video access. You guys still got me audio?
Yep.
Yeah, we
You're
got you
good.
on audio.
All right, so
But
we
yeah,
got
you're not fearless, is what I'm trying to point out to the listeners.
no,
Right?
and again, if we hit a glitch, it's because we do have storms in the area today. But as you were saying, no, definitely not fearless for sure. It can be a real thing, but it's what are you going to do with that? Are you going to
Right.
allow that to put you into the fetal position on the floor, or are you going to use it as a motivator to say, this sucks and I don't want to be in this situation anymore. So I'm going to damn do something about it. Um,
Yeah.
I love the article that a local newspaper had a couple of years ago, where it talks about the difference between like buffalo and regular cows over in the Rockies when they see a storm that's coming up over the mountain range and it's coming down through the valley. Buffalo will turn and run toward the storm. Cows will turn and run away from the storm. In essence, when the storm is coming across that plain and it's catching up to the cows are running at a pace along with the storm. And in essence, they're prolonging the amount of time that they're in the storm. Buffalo don't do that. They turn and they face the storm and run into it, and in essence, shortening the amount of exposure to that storm in their life. And that's just always stuck with me. I try to do that exact same thing. Everybody we know, as Andy Andrews says, he's a great motivational speaker. He says literally everybody that you know is either coming into a crisis, they're in a crisis, or they're coming out of a crisis. Like everybody like it's just it's a
Yep.
cycle that we all go through. And so what do you
Yeah. Well, it's like
No, that's great.
I was gonna say, like I relate to movies, like you were talking about. Everyone's coming in and out of a story. The greatest stories in Hollywood. It's not like a random day in the life. It's always about some monumental moment, something to tell a story about. Well, the thing is with us, it's always on record, and we kind of remember those little moments about where we come in, but it's always on play. It's always recorded. And
Hey,
so at any given
Mayor.
moment, your life is changing and you're on that new milestone path.
Can we get Perry back on board, Mark? You were saying something?
Yeah, can you refresh your browser? It stopped recording.
I think we got him.
There we go.
There we
He's
go.
back.
Cool.
The Flippin'
Again,
mayor.
storms?
No, and I
Good.
think okay, so that's a great analogy about the story about the buffalo running towards the fear. That's what Grant Cardone talks about fear. He says, fear taking action is the killer of fear. Taking quick, decisive action is the killer of fear. And just on the same side of the page there, fear is the killer of taking action. Right?
Yeah,
So the longer
absolutely.
you wait to take action, the longer we wait to run towards the fear, the greater the fear grows.
Yeah.
So if you just hurry up and do it and get it done and rip the Band-Aid off, that is
Right.
the best way to approach fear, man.
Yeah.
Taking
And
action is the killer of fear. So I think you've done that, Perry. Took action, not only on that first flip, but that second flip. But most importantly, after losing money on that second flip, reloading. After weathering the storm of the 2008 real estate mortgage crisis, jumping back in, facing the fear again, and coming out smelling like roses, baby.
for people that are listening to this, I think the biggest thing that I would love for people to take away is, you know, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to try to figure it out on your own. There's so many people that have already figured it out when it comes to stuff like real estate investing, for example. Man, just follow the program that other people have done. Just follow their foot, like the Burr method, man. That's it. Doesn't get much more simple than that, but it's funny how when you talk to people, they're like, oh, that doesn't work. I'm like, really? Go take a look at my portfolio. I can tell you it works, and it works really well.
Tell us a
Uh,
little. Tell us a little bit about what the Burr method is for those who may not know.
Awesome. So the Burr method is BRRRR. I think it's 3 or 4 R's in there, but it's basically buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. And you have to do it in those steps. And here's why. You buy your property, even if you don't get it $30,000 off the MLS like what we did. You go in and you buy your property, you do the rehab that needs to be done to it. You put a renter in there, which is really key because when the bank is going to look at giving you that next step, which is the refinance for you to pull your cash back out, um, they want to see not just what the valuation is on the property because they're going to pull comps that show, a 3 bedroom, 2 bath on that street and this zip code typically goes for, $180 a square foot or whatever that magic number is. But they will also look at another key factor, and that is how much did you rent it for? And that sometimes is more important to the bank than what the actual price per square foot number is. And there have been properties that I have bought that the banks have given me more money back than what we actually put into it. And I asked why, and they said, "Oh well, because you rented it so well. You were able to hit a metric there in your rent number that took the value from street value of this. It kicked it up another 10 or 12% just because you were smart with who you put in at the price you put in." And, there have been several deals where we've walked away from the table, not just with the money that we put into it, but another 10 or 15% over and above what we put in. I mean, gosh, you can't get much better than that.
That, folks, is how you pay yourself to buy. You get paid to buy property.
That's it. That's
That is how you pay
absolutely
yourself to
correct.
buy property. You can make money on the deal. Um,
Yes.
that's great.
Yeah.
And the main difference being, when and where you do the financing. On a traditional purchase, you finance it right up front, right at the start. But on the Burr
Yep.
method, you finance it last, after you've rented it, rehabbed it, added the value, forced the appreciation. You forced extra appreciation by not only leasing it, but leasing it well.
Right.
And just really drive that value up. That's why I love investing in real estate more so than stocks, exchange traded funds. I'm going to get my 12% year over year. That's what they say on average. Hopefully,
Mm-hmm.
I have no
Yep.
control over that. Real estate, I at least have some control over. I
Yeah.
can go in there and I can at least control what price I buy it for. I can
Yes.
control how much appreciation I force onto the property. I love having control. What can I say?
Yeah.
As much as possible.
Well,
I think we all would
I,
agree with that. Yeah.
and you can also depreciate the value by Big Daddy style and going in there and just punching a hole in the wall. Price just went down.
Right. The same. All right. The opposite holds true as well. Yes.
Don't
nice.
advise that.
So So one of the things also that I find with mindset that is really critical is the perseverance aspect of it. I touched base a little bit on Andy Andrews. Andy Andrews, motivational speaker, and he's written several really good books. But one of the books that he wrote about, he talked about persistence. And when he was doing his first novel, he had actually written in there about these 7 key successes to life, and one of those again being persistence. And so he had taken it to a publisher, and the publisher told him no. And he took it to the next publisher, and the next one told him no. And he went to 49 different publishing houses that all told him no. And he said,
Goodness.
I really wished at one point that I hadn't written that part in there about persistence, because I would have loved to have just thrown in the towel and said, it's not going to work. He said, but the persistence aspect of it forced me to go in and decide, okay, well, I'm going to self-publish this one. And he said, so I did. And he said, I sold 100,000 copies. And I went back to, one of the publishing houses, and they said, oh, well, great. Boy, guess we kind of missed that one, but congratulations, you did awesome. And he said, well, what about now? You want to put, no, we think the book has already done its, and he said, so I went back to him at 200,000 copies sold. And they're like, boy, what do you know? Wrong twice in a row, but we really think the book has probably sold its pace. And he said at 300,000, I didn't even go back to him. I just decided I'd just continue to keep all the money myself. And so that story again kind of stuck with me. And so going Brandon Turner from Bigger Pocket Style, we had listened to him talk about mobile home parks. And so my wife and I found a small mobile home park about 100 miles outside of Nashville. A wholesaler had brought that to us, that deal. And we ended up going under contract on that, because I'm going through and I'm crunching the numbers, and I'm like, man, this is going to be great. That's our first, it's a 15 unit mobile home park. It's not huge, but it's a great way to get started. And I kept hitting brick wall after brick wall after brick wall on trying to get the thing financed. And so even so much so that even my mom said, God might be trying to tell you you're not supposed to buy this. And I said, yeah, I feel in my heart, man, this is a rock solid deal. And so reached out to another real estate mentor who said, I've got a friend at a bank and they would be interested in it. And wouldn't you know, when I called that guy, he said, what was the address again? And I told him, and he said, we actually used to have the financing on that park about 10 or 15 years ago. Yeah, we would love to do that. Worked out great.
Wow.
And then, hey, you'll never guess what we did. We went in, we increased the rents, we did some modifications, then we rehabbed it, refinanced it, and now we're pulling all of our money right back out of that one again.
Beautiful.
Go figure.
Beautiful.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
So Burr Method, for anybody listening to this, Burr Method is not just for single family homes or like duplexes. If you can do that with a mobile home park, good Lord, you can do it with anything.
Should offer
Sure,
it up
yeah.
to Brandon Turner. See if he wants it.
Yeah.
See if he wants to buy it.
Right.
That's where the Burr. Your great point. Yeah, Burr Method is not for residential single family alone. The commercial, because on the commercial you can force more appreciation than you could imagine, because
Yep.
it's more really income approach. The appraisers will look more at the income approach on a commercial property than they would say a single family.
Mm-hmm.
And the single family, you're only going to get the rent so high, but in commercial, you can really get creative. You can, drive different revenues through there, multiple revenues, multiple tenants. You can, well, perfect example. There was a vacant lumber yard here in town that sat vacant for years, and an investor bought it. He not only fixed up and rented out the warehouse, he turned the lumber yard into a outdoor storage for boats and RVs, and it's completely full.
Perfect.
And you know how much value he added by doing that, how much
Perfect.
appreciation, and he can go and I guarantee he cashed out and paid himself to buy that property.
So perfect example, and following in that train of thought on the mobile home park, we had gone out and checked with the local codes department about adding a couple of additional units, and they said, we're sorry, but based off of everything that you've got there, you're just maxed out for that, for the amount of use on that land that you can do. And so talking to our business partner that we've got with, the other 9 doors that we have separately, he and I were talking about it. And he said, well, how much land do you have on that mobile home park? I said, it's 5 acres. He said, well, what about those little storage barns? I mean, I bet they would love to rent some of those. I mean, everybody's got junk that they need to put up somewhere. And so I reached out back to the codes department, and they said, oh yeah, no, we don't have a limitation on that. I said, so I can put out 15 of these, $1,500 storage barns that you can buy at Lowe's or Home Depot. And he said, yeah, okay.
Sign me up.
So we did the first one, and literally sitting there, and the guy said, if one of the people come out of the trailer, and he said, hey, what you got? And I said, oh, we've got this storage unit and this barn here, and we're going to make it for rent. And he said, well, how much you want for it? I said, I don't know, $165 a month. He said, okay, we'll just add it to my lease.
Nice. Value add. Value
Okay.
add.
I mean, the thing's $1,500, and guess what? Nobody ever calls to say the toilet's clogged up in the storage barn. Nobody ever calls and says my refrigerator's not working. But by God, that thing is going to sit there for $1,500 and be paid for in less than a year. And I'm not going to have any maintenance on it other than to have to paint it every, 5 to 7 years.
Adding value, forcing
Yeah.
appreciation. Love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
All right, Perry. Now, the Flippin' Mayor. You got the word
Yes.
mayor in your name, so I want to touch on that real quick too. What were
Sure.
some of your huge wins from your 8-year term as mayor, and maybe any parallels that you could draw between being a mayor and being in politics and flipping real estate?
So probably the thing that I'm most proud of is, and sometimes I get choked up when I talked about it, but I'm good today. So, but the thing that I'm most proud of, honestly, is we had an opportunity to put in a veterans memorial at one of our parks. And I had somebody ask me once, they said, I've heard you say that that's the thing that you're most proud of. Like, why is that? And I said, because honestly, so 50 years from now, nobody's going to remember who the mayor was in this hometown in 2016. But 50 years from now, that Veterans Memorial is still going to be standing here. And it's going to be a testament to the people. Exactly.
Salute, baby.
Exactly.
Thank you for your service.
And I said, that is something that my kids will be able to come to and see their family members' names on bricks and pavers and that kind of thing. And other people in the community will have that same opportunity. So that's probably the thing that I'm most proud of. The parallel to that, as far as house flipping goes, or doing real estate, it's all about the legacy. None of us are going to get to take it with us,
No.
but what kind of change am I making in my family tree for my 2 kids, so that when they, after I'm gone, what are they going to be able to do with that? How is that going to positively impact their lifestyle and what they're going to be able to do? What lessons have they been able to learn just from watching the level of perseverance that their mother and I have on doing this kind of stuff, to say, don't quit, don't give up, don't be afraid to rechart or to redirect, but don't stop moving forward. Just don't.
Be the buffalo.
Oh, that's great, man. Yep.
Yeah. Be the buffalo. Be the
Be the
buffalo.
buffalo. Love it.
And as far as, mayor and politics, again, kind of that legacy things. There were things that we put in place under my tenure as mayor, as far as requirements on buildings and the aesthetics looks of things that people were bringing into our city. For example, we put some building codes in place on some of our commercial buildings that you have to have a certain amount of either brickstone or stucco, some kind of nice feature like that on all of your buildings. We probably have in Middle Tennessee the only stone-faced storage units in all of Middle Tennessee. It's ridiculous. And even our O'Reilly's Auto Parts, the general contractor that had come in from corporate, he said, other than one other city somewhere in California, he said, this is the nicest O'Reilly's that I've ever built anywhere in the United States. And that's all stuff that, again,
Cool.
Nobody's ever going to pay any attention to that driving by and say, "Oh, wonder how they put those codes in place to make them put stone on the front of that." But but it's one of those things that I know when
That's
I
pretty
drive by
cool.
and see it.
Sure, you
Yeah,
left your mark right there. You
yeah,
left 2 giant marks, huge marks there,
yeah,
and improved the community. You improved the
yeah,
community while doing it. So
yeah.
cool.
I think so. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's
So
not
that's
all
the
bad.
parallel, right? I mean, you're improving the community when you flip those houses.
Okay.
Yes.
You're improving those. How that improves the community, and you improve the community being the mayor as well with those awesome projects.
Yeah,
So
sometimes in politics, as we see, I mean, everybody watches the national news, and even on small town politics like ours, you still have knuckleheads that you have to deal with, and there's still times that you get your butt handed to you, and that's okay. Sometimes you just have to have thick skin. I was telling a story earlier today. Somebody had asked me. They said, did I hear right about a lady that was giving you a hard time about dogs over at the new walking track? And I said, yeah. I said that this woman had called, and she said, Mayor, we got a problem. And I said, okay, what's that? And she said, well, we've got, dogs running around in my neighborhood, and nobody's got them on a leash. And they're, one of these ravenous animals is going to maul one of these little kids when they're playing, and, all like just really just going way out there. And so I just, being a good listener, I said, okay, I got you. And so she said, but I'm going to tell you, she said, I was so excited when you put in the walking track next to our neighborhood, because I thought finally somewhere that I can go and I can get out and I can walk, and I don't have to worry about getting attacked by one of these ravenous animals, and I can walk and not be in fear. And she said, Mayor, I was out at the park today, and there was not one but 2 dogs. This woman had 2 dogs, Mayor, out there on the walking track, and that's not fair because, quote, dogs don't pay taxes. and,
true.
and so I just kind of paused and I said, excuse me? She said, that's right. That's not fair because dogs don't pay taxes. And so literally, guys, to make a long story longer, my very last semester in college, I had to take an elective in order to have enough credits to graduate. And the only thing that fit my work schedule was a sales 101 class. And I thought, man, I walked in with all the arrogance of the world. I was like, man, I could walk in and teach this class. I'll probably learn more in that sales class than I did anything else in all of my time in college. And so anyway, the professor taught us something, a sales technique called feel, felt, found. Understand how you feel. Many people felt the same way. What they have found is. I was like, okay, for whatever reason, divine intervention, God thing, whatever, that's what came to mind. And when she said dogs don't pay taxes, I said, well, Mrs. Jones, I understand exactly how you feel. And I know many people have felt the same way about dogs running loose and being worried about, dogs being out and possibly attacking one of these children. But what they have found is that if dogs have an opportunity to be well socialized out on a walking track, and they're around other people and they're getting the proper exercise, then their owners are less likely to just open up the door and let them run when they get home in the evenings from work. And there was this long pause. And she said, wow, I never really thought about it that way. Thank you so much for calling and talking to me about this today.
What was the last
True
F?
story.
Problem solved.
Problem solved.
What was the last F?
Feel, felt, found.
Found. Okay.
I understand how you feel. Many people have felt it the same way. What they have found is.
Okay.
So,
I like.
yeah.
That's what they taught us in real estate school. It was something similar along those lines. We were supposed to say, I understand your concern.
Yep.
Yes.
And you say that over and over again. They say you're going to use that line more than anything. I understand your concern.
understand.
But
Gotta show that you're listening.
right. Feel, felt, found. I like it. The 3 Fs. And if they don't like the 3 Fs, you hit them with the 4th F, baby.
Yeah, that kind of goes back to that whole flipping mayor.
That's
so.
right. That's right. Awesome stuff. Well, hey, man, I think we're going to leave it right there. That is a great podcast. Thank you, Perry Keenan, the Flippin' Mayor. Hey, anything else you want to touch on before we let you go? Fellas, Mark, Justin.
Good episode.
Nice. Great. Hey, no, seriously, I've enjoyed it immensely. And like I said, the 2 things I would leave people with is don't quit. Perseverance, man. Don't quit And don't ever think that you're too old to get started. If my real estate mentor can do it when he's in his 60s, then people that are listening to this in their 20s and 30s or 40s or whatever it is, man, just take action. Get started. Just get started. If you can't do 10x, do 5x and then go to 10x.
Right.
You know?
No better time than right now. Right now, baby.
Run
Just
with the
start it.
Buffaloes.
One step, one little day, one little thing. One,
Yep.
1.5, 2. Just
Yep.
take the step. Be the buffalo, embrace the storm.
Absolutely, Biggie.
Hey, Perry, how can folks contact you or follow you?
So they can always hit me up on Instagram, the Flippin Mayor with no G, Flippin, the Flippin Mayor. On Instagram, I can get my phone number out. I'm always open for a conversation. I love to talk. 615-336-3401. Anybody can hit me up anytime, man.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Love it. All right, y'all. Hey, thank you, Perry. Perry Keenan, the Flippin' Mayor. Thank you. Appreciate your time, buddy. Mark Gray, slanging deals every day. The producer extraordinaire in the house, and Biggie, the 3-time champ. Thank you for joining us, guys, and listening today. Myself, Pete Peterson. Please like, subscribe, and share. And as always, remember the rules. Work hard, never give up, and dream huge, baby. Let's see the guns. Woo! And wait, keep them up. We'll keep them up. I'm going to get one picture of us. Bam. Got it. All right, y'all.
Nice.
Have a great day.